Beat that to us. We appreciate it, sir. Shaun Willoughby, Casey Padilla, and then Manny Montano.
President Lewis, Council, my name is Shaun Willoughby. I'm the Vice President of the Albuquerque Police Officers Association. I come before you this evening kind of disgruntled and very, very concerned about the Police Oversight Commission in its current form. What's widely known and understood as a lack of credibility, a lack of fundamental knowledge in the profession of policing, and a liability for the actual city itself has now snowballed into a continued liability from bad PR, which has been published from its conception. It's been a rough year for the POC. I've personally witnessed lack of organization, lack of understanding of what their job is, and just a fundamental breakdown in the entire process. Now, with your work and efforts, council staff and council trying to bring back public confidence to the POC, which is of most importance, invested importance in both the police department and the Albuquerque Police Officers Association, I have a Commissioner Shaun who is repeatedly contacting a task force through email, through meeting, and trying to throw his legislation, which is unlawful. It's against the Constitution of the Constitution of the State of New Mexico Officers' Bill of Rights. It's complete violating our collective bargaining agreement. There was absolutely no consultation. He should not have the ability to access the individuals that are framing the future of the POC. It's like treating breast cancer with stomach cancer. We have an identified problem from the current POC and the commission that is actively participating in that, guiding the task force that you all put to task to fix the problem. It is a complete breakdown. It is disappointing. Excuse my tone. I'm very disgruntled about this entire process. And as you look at legislation tonight to allow this task force to continue, please stop while you're ahead, because it will not bring back public confidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Willoughby. We have a couple questions, I think. Here, Councilor Harris.
Yes, and it might not be a question. You can respond if you want, but I think whatever Mr. Shaun is doing, I mean, there are people who come before the council, and there's one gentleman who comes over here and asked us if we've read the email that he just sent out. I mean, to an extent, if someone wants to contact any public official, and there are people who contact all of us and try to get us to pass their legislation, I think that's, I can understand being in your position how that would concern you, but I think these task force members are going to come to it with their own thinking, and I think you probably have an opportunity to sit down in an open meeting with them and explain why, if you believe someone's doing something that's not persuasive or not right, just let them know. And I think the system will work its way. And then whatever they do, this is just recommendations to us, and then we have to sort through it and pass it, and then we're going to hear from you again. So I think the system has its own internal checks and balances. I think you shouldn't be too worried. But I don't know if you want to respond or not. That's not really a question.
I'd love to respond if you give me the opportunity.
Can you keep it brief?
I'll be very brief. The way that I look at it, sir, I have addressed the task force. I went through the proper avenue to do so. I signed up for public comment. I was asked to speak. They have my information. If they want input or they need input to formulate a good plan to fix this process, I am readily available, as well as any other law enforcement professional has made themselves readily available. But when you have a proven problem with a previous cancerous system influencing your solution, it's a breakdown of the entire system.
Well, Mr. Shaun has met with me, and he's very opinionated, but I think he has a lot of good things to say, but it doesn't, I'm going to listen to you as much as I am to him, and so the other counselors.
Councilor Arnold Jones.
Mr. Willoughby, a couple of questions. I want to make sure that I understand that you are defending the task force process, but you feel that there is an inappropriate intrusion from the POC itself?
I think that the task force process has been corrupt. I think that the POC needs to be eliminated. I believe that the city of Albuquerque has a very competent citizen police review board called the IRO. They have carte blanche to investigate complete police investigations. They are not connected to the police department. They are not representative of anybody with a vested interest, and I think that that would be sufficient while this council decides and maintains a good strategy to bring back a competent POC that the public can have confidence in.
Okay, and one last question. can you be a little more specific about violating collective bargaining? I'm not sure I understand that.
Our collective bargaining contract with the city of Albuquerque outlines certain abilities and formalities when it comes to discipline. There is something out there called the Officers' Bill of Rights, which is a part of the New Mexico Constitution of this state. And this legislation, which Commissioner Shaun email blasted and actually contacted the chairman of the task force to blast out to all of the task force members, is a complete violation of our agreement, and it's a complete violation of state law. It does not allow the proper process to go forth, and I believe, I know that he's an attorney and he's probably very well versed, but I think that he believes by changing the name of the POC, it allows him to completely disrespect police officers' rights. And as an official representing the rank and file of the Albuquerque Police Department, of everything that's in our contract, our officer rights and the way that and representing officers' rights as a union official is paramountly more important than anything else in that contract, and we will do everything we can to defend it.
Councilor Myers and Councilor Benton. Councilor Benton.
Officer Willoughby, so what I heard you say was that the task force process you're not seeing as functioning very well. Did I hear that right?
No, basically what my opinion is at this point is the task force and all the work that was done to institute balance to that task force has been infiltrated. It is corrupt. The entire task force needs to be redone. This legislation and constant contact from current problems in the POC has tainted that task force. It has tainted it. I and myself, the APOA, the rank and file of the Albuquerque Police Department does not have faith in either of these processes, where we once did have faith in a balanced process to try to answer these problems.
So you're saying the actions of this one commissioner,
the actions of the POC and commissioners on that commission having carte blanche access to somebody that is trying to fix their mishaps is a fundamental breakdown.
Understood, but is there any have POC commissioners spoken in the public comment periods at those task force meetings? Wouldn't that be appropriate, just public discourse?
I think that it's appropriate for any citizen to exercise their right of free speech, and that would be just fine. It's personal phone calls, it's lunches, it's please push my initiative. Please push my initiative when it's in complete violation of state law and our collective bargaining agreement.
I understand. Thank you.
Councilor Garduno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Willoughby. So if you were to contact some of the folks on the task force, you would consider that an infraction of the state constitution?
No, that's not what I said. What I said is I think it's unethical and I think it's wrong.
So would
but we're not talking about me, Mr. Garduno. I haven't contacted anybody on the task force. I went to public comment and was requested to talk to the task force to answer questions. I don't email them. I haven't gone to lunch with them. I haven't communicated with them. What I'm saying is that we have a identified problem in the POC. It's public knowledge. It's been widely known, and that specific problem is infiltrated your task force, and they are trying to guide them along the way, which is a major concern to myself and the rank and file of the police department.
Well, Mr. President, I appreciate the fact that you're concerned that there's infiltration or there's undue
unethical
influence, but well, yeah, that's your word. But I don't see how in a public setting you're going to keep that from happening. I mean, some of the things that are said here in public comment, someone might think is unethical or, unrealistic or above board. I mean, or, some way that person should be kept from saying something. And I just don't think we can. I mean, that's the whole purpose of public comment. The whole purpose of a public body is to listen to all sides and arguments. That doesn't mean that they have already been influenced and we can now say they can't make a decision on their own.
You know what? Can I respond to your comment, because I
Sure.
think that I may be a little misunderstood by you. I do not feel that there is anything wrong with anybody on the POC or any human being that lives in the United States to have their civil liberty of free speech and partake in public comment. That is not what I'm saying. I took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, and I will do that.
So did I.
What I'm saying is the individuals that are on this task force are not using public comment to state their piece and have their opinion. They're using emails. They're using personal cell phones. They're using lunch meetings. They're using their position and their status in order to influence this task force, who have a job to do. They have a job to do, and the balance is so paramount. The rights of the citizens of Albuquerque are just as important as the rights of police officers.
And Mr. President, I absolutely agree with you. And I think you heard, and to Councilor Sanchez's credit, he asked the question before any of us even thought about it.
Oh, yes.
And I think it's an appropriate question. I think it's something that needs to be looked at. But I don't think we're going to resolve it here, and I don't think it's enough, at least at this point, to disqualify or disband or do away with the task force. It is working. It is going forward. From my viewpoint, I support it, and I think it'll be something that'll be good to right some of the bad things that are presently in the POC.
Well, I just wanted to take the opportunity to make you all aware, and the comments that were made earlier by Councilor Sanchez give me hope. It was great. The common sense approach to leadership is something very needed. And it's nice to see all of ASME here standing by one another. Lord knows that's all we have.
We got one more question. Councilor Winter.
No question. I
comment.
appreciate your concern. And one thing about Councilor Garduño, one thing that we wanted to make sure that this task force was very, very balanced and very fair.
Yes, it's very important.
And I think it is moving forward. In fact, I hope that the next meeting we can have an update on what the task force is doing, because I'm telling you, I think they're doing some great things. Hopefully that the issues that you brought up, that we can take care of those issues and move forward. I think that I really do think that this task force is going to bring some great recommendations to this council, and I know how important this council feels about that task force and about the ordinance on the POC, and I really think we're going to be very careful and very thoughtful in how we can change it to make it better. And I do hear what you're saying. So hopefully that everybody will give that task force a chance so that we can move forward. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Just please read the legislation very carefully. It's very, very important to us.
Ms. Willoughby, the concerns are important, and I appreciate you coming down and sharing those.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We're going to move on to our fifth speaker. And